tripping over that now.
This is, there you go. You're ready.
Okay.
You're rolling, Marley.
We are rolling. And I still have to have the button up over here
Yeah.
to be heard? So does everybody have their buttons up? Unless you want to shut it off until you talk, whatever. Okay, so let's get started on the October 10th Gateway Services Stoneybrook Advisory Committee meeting. It is 3:01 right now on October 10th. In attendance is myself, Janice Lancaster, Virginia Stacy, Thomas Roller, and Angela Sullivan. Missing is J.T. Thomas and Dick Zukowski. We have a quorum, so we're good to go. You did get minutes previously in the email. I don't know if you had a chance to look at them, but if you could, and you'd like to take a look and just see if you have any other questions or points, I'll, you know, if the minutes are okay with you, I'll accept the motion to approve.
So moved.
All right. I got a motion from Tom Roller and a second from Virginia Stacy to approve the minutes from our last meeting in September. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Minutes are approved. Okay. Discuss the schedule of needed past due repairs and paintings on street signs. Now that was something, I'm not sure if it was you, Angela, that brought it up. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if Mike's available. Is Mike in the back?
Mike Tisch?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
I tell you what, let's handle you, I'll get you out of here and free you up if you don't mind, okay? And
That's
then,
totally up to you.
no, that's fine with me.
I'm here to help.
Because you're technically, you're not even on the thing here, but we got the proposal for the additional 20,000 of landscaping to be done along the Gateway-owned property. We did get this in the email previously, and you want to just give us a quick overview?
Sure, with this proposal, we will be enhancing every intersection on Pebblebrook, as well as all four corners of Bluestone. And the right-hand side of Bluestone as you're going in, where we can't seem to keep the sod living on that steep slope. We want to install.
Washes down, drains off too fast.
Yeah, we're going to install a small grass called a ryope. It's a small little purple flower on it twice a year. And it looks pretty good.
All right, so we're gonna give that a shot.
Yes.
How are we gonna keep that separate from the Fortam or whatever that is?
Oh, it's not hard. It's a totally different type of plant.
Gotcha, all right, well, for the record, let's, J.T. Thomas is in, it's about 3:04 right now. So we're good to go.
And this will also add a lot more color to the landscape out there.
So it doesn't need water?
Oh, well, yeah.
Very little water?
It's going to be in the same areas that it is now. It's just that we're going to take out some of the tired-looking plants and install some new ones. And like I say, give some color to each intersection.
So essentially, the money that we previously spent was to repair damage done to Irma from last year, and what we're doing right now is the kind of things to replace, upgrade that we normally would have been doing.
Correct.
And that's, we have to get the extra 20 grand for that.
Correct.
And
And we kept it pretty tight. I was within $3.
I saw that.
Actually, I went over and I went back and kind of did some recounts, and it's like, okay, we can do this here, and we can do that there.
That's great.
Let's bring it down.
I
Let's
appreciate
make
it.
it work.
Anybody have any questions, Val?
I have a question. What do we normally budget for this? Is this every year or every 5 years? This
Normally,
kind of
go
budget?
I think it's $25,000. I think it's 25. And what happened is that got eaten up this year by the damage from Irma. And then some other work was done as part of
Correct.
that. And so came up with the decision, we had extra money left over from last year from previous carry forwards. Let's do what we normally would have done rather than ignore, because I don't know if you got any comments, but I had gotten some comments that we were looking a little bit ratty
Right.
out there.
I agree.
And we talked about it, and that's what we're trying to
So
solve
my
that
question
problem.
is, for next year, do we budget another 20,000 for this? Or is this something that we're gonna be taking care of for a while?
We have budgeted 25,000, if I remember, for next year already.
Okay.
The only exception to that, and we didn't have any hurricanes this year, thank goodness, that, did damage. So hopefully, Thank God that one went straight up, huh?
Yeah.
In any case, that would be normal season. We'll take that money and Elle will go through the normal processes and make
Which
recommendations.
we may or may not use it all. You know,
Sometimes
at
that-
this point, I would say we probably won't use it all.
Well, I know there were some bushes and things that were getting a little ratty, need to upgrade and plant. I know there might be some thin spots, and I one of them, for example, that Angela had pointed out.
Absolutely.
And I think I got Warren's.
Well, I did, Ellen and I talked about this before, at the corner of Greenstone and Pebblestone, the bushes, people can't see, they're high, and they're trimmed down now, you can see halfway decent, but it don't take long for it to grow up, and I would suggest that maybe the next time when we go looking at doing some stuff, maybe we can figure out a way to cut that so people coming up to that stop sign will be able to see down.
Better
Greenstone.
visibility.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
visibility, yeah, that, we
Right.
talked about it, we thought it would come
Absolutely,
down,
yes.
and it'd come down, but it's still, and I got, I iced it up a little bit higher, but we have a lot of other smaller cars that probably have a
Correct.
real problem.
This is coming from Stone Valley toward Greenstone. You
Well,
wanna
this is
make-
coming up Pebblebrook, stopping at the stop sign at Greenstone, Stone Valley Loop,
Okay.
and looking down towards your house, you can't see over those bushes unless you pull out past.
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
yeah. That's where Pebblebrook tees with
Yeah.
Greenstone, Stone
Yes.
Valley. If you're
We
gonna
talked
make
about
up
that
to the
before,
right,
so,
it's kinda high. That's on Wally's property on the corner there.
Right,
Really?
and we just have to keep that low, or look at it
A
in
little-
the
yeah,
upcoming
alternative,
year to
yeah.
maybe use something that doesn't get that tall,
Willie, I take that back, Willie. I said, well, you're right.
so.
All right, so the money is already appropriated for doing that sort of thing. This was a special
I knew,
20 grand.
So I didn't know
I
if this
know,
is something
and
we
I-
do every year is about 20 to
You know,
25.
that 25 we budget every year.
Okay.
You were part of the budget process, you
Okay.
know, that number was there. This was just extraordinary. We had the money there, let's do it while we had it. And what happens if we don't use
I'm
it in
glad we're gonna use
in
it.
that current year, it goes into the next year and kind of disappears, or gets thrown into the overage carried forward. And so, I'll take a motion to approve this proposal.
So moved.
Got one, I got a motion, a second.
A second.
All right, so we got a motion for Virginia and a second from Angela, all in favor?
Aye.
We're good to go.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask one more question? Remember the other list you said? If we did put 5 or 8 hedges in that area where you pull in, that's a whole different entity, right?
I believe it is, but again, I want to make sure I go up there, have my eyes on it, and Kathy always goes with me on the
Mhm.
inspections.
Okay.
Yeah, bouncing off of Kathy too pointed out, because she goes with Elle and she stays on top of that
And sometimes
stuff.
I bounce things off of Margaret still.
Mhm.
Like I say, we are going to do something different in the Pebblestone cul-de-sac. We're gonna go with some bromeliads rather than a bunch of
You should be
bush.
contacting me for that, so I'll be the one.
That's where he lives.
Well,
No, she knows.
well, you know, or rather than just filling it up with shrubs underneath that oak tree, because the oak tree's looking really nice and looking really, you know, it's giving a good shade under there. We're just going to, you know, like I say, try a different look. And it's not gonna be super expensive or widespread out there. Yeah, you'll be stealing my bromeliads, won't you, JP?
I don't know what that is.
Also, I just want to say that, you know, we're basically have started a new fiscal year, so essentially the money will be there to work with from next year already, so
Right.
it'll be there. So if that needs to be done, you feel it can be done this calendar fiscal year sooner?
Right, now what could be coming up and some of that money used for is, we have noticed, and it's not exclusive to Stoneybrook or Gateway, but the viburnum that your hedge is made of, the original hedge is
Okay.
viburnum hedge up on top of the berm.
Yeah,
Viburnums are, they seem to be getting this gall disease that starts at the base. It's where they get a big ball.
okay.
I've seen
kind of-
those.
More at the lower end. You'll see them on some trees up on a limb or something
Yes, I've seen
sometimes.
that, yeah.
But the viburnum is getting this gall, and it's at the bottom of the stem. And when that does, that whole stem dies off above it. There is no cure for that. The only thing that we can do is take it out and replace it. So that's why we've been going in and we've been replacing the hedge
Gotcha.
with a different type of plant that is not susceptible to this gall disease.
What are you putting in?
They're green arboricola.
Okay.
And If you ride by it, you don't even notice them,
Okay.
but they are different.
Were there some stumps, there's some bushes that were removed along Pebblebrook and the stumps are still there?
They should not be.
They might have been.
Okay, I'll
I haven't
definitely
put
take
my
a
eyes
hard
on
look
it.
at that.
Yeah, I haven't put my eyes on it, but that's what I was.
I'll
that's what
definitely take
that's
a
what
hard
I
look
read.
at that.
Along Pebblebrook?
Yeah,
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are.
the only bushes taken out were the ones there that we talked about one time before, right there.
Yeah.
Right there, just past Stone Valley Loop there, there's a great big bunch of bushes, and they cut it down to just a small one and put grass around it. That's the only
Right.
bushes I've seen taken out. along
what
there.
I'm seeing is, seeing that they removed several dead bushes along Pebblebrook near my house, didn't remove the stumps and replanted right near them. And that's near Gemstone.
Well, I'm thinking of
All the way
tree
down
stumps.
that
That's by the clubhouse, yeah.
Oh,
I'm thinking of tree stumps closer down to, Greenstone on the, 82 side of Pebblebrook. There are tree stumps still,
There are tree stumps still?
that were never ground down.
Are you talking about along the edge of the pond?
Uh-huh. Yeah, but there's at least one is further away from the water than most of them. A lot of those you may be referring to are probably still underwater.
Yes.
There's one right now that isn't, and it's maybe 10 or 15 feet up from the
the
water.
only thing, is it worth bringing, for the expense to bring somebody?
No.
Oh,
I think
No.
that stuff will just rot out, won't it, for the most
Well,
part?
I thought you were gonna come back and take, once the
If
water's
we were
down,
talking
take
about
it
that
down.
maple tree that.
No, I'm not,
No?
this
Okay.
is only about this big around,
Okay.
about that tall.
Oh, yes, there was some small pine trees that were removed not too long ago, and those stumps,
It's been a while, but yeah.
because those trees were,
Infested.
I
Yes.
just assumed you would take that out if you come back and when the water gets down, you take the cypress stumps out. Where you-
well, you can't really take them out, you can only cut them down lower.
Okay,
Cause to pull those cypress roots out of there would be detrimental to the pond bank, detrimental. You know cypress tree roots.
Yeah, those knees are all over the place.
Yeah, the only thing I can do is cut them down shorter.
All right, is that the plan, or is it working?
Well, I don't know, we even discussed that, I'll tell you what, that's probably something to be looking at in the dry season anyway, so.
Yeah.
Probably
Most
looking at next
definitely.
winter.
Well, back when we were when they were doing the stonework around the pond on the other side, you went in there and cut some of those down to the ground level. They were
Yeah,
up-
the contractor that was working on the pond did that.
Okay, all right.
And
Yeah.
I think that pond, the one you're talking about, is the next pond that they're supposed to be doing.
It is,
anyways.
if in fact, how's that bid process going, do you have any idea?
I am not in that at
Yeah,
all,
well,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
we'll find out from Margaret. She's checking.
I noticed I noticed, how many pine trees have we lost since the hurricane with infestation? I mean, has it got?
In Stoneybrook alone or in Gateway?
Yeah.
Are
Well,
supposed to be
let's
done
do both.
next month?
Hundreds,
The one-
Is it
one
because the
in
hurricane
our
weakened
area.
them and the pine beetles absorbed?
that's
the terrain?
correct. That's correct. The pine beetles don't attack
Healthy
a healthy,
trees.
happy tree. They go for the trees that are stressing, and actually, when trees are stressing, they release a pheromone. We can't tell it, but those bugs can.
Okay.
They only attack trees that are in the stressed mode. When the tree is stressing and basically I'm really sick, that's when the bugs go for them.
So, in Gateway in general, how many have you lost in Gateway? in general?
Hundreds,
What about just in Stoneybrook?
Probably dozens.
dozens.
No, more than that.
Yeah.
Drive along
Well,
Pebblebrook.
I didn't say
look
a dozen, I said dozens.
Dozens with an
Yeah.
S, plural, yeah. Because the last time we took some out, I know I took like 4 of them this last time.
And you're only talking about on Gateway property then, and not on private property.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So that's what
And
I'm
the
saying, there
reserve.
could be
They probably have a
hundreds in
preserve.
there
Because
that other people
I
have.
had to take mine down.
I know
I've
of,
got one in my backyard, I'm gonna probably end up doing myself, even though it's on your property, I mean, you're talking a pine tree this big, but it's dead.
Well,
Yeah.
mine was right
It's
at the
dead.
water's edge, and she said it was mine, so.
Well, there's a few areas that are like that. I had the same question for a resident in Magnolia Lakes. They had 4 pine trees in their backyard, and I'm like, those were not planted by the developer, they were not planted for the lake bank. So
Well, I
they're your
will tell you, he
trees.
didn't plant them, and I knew the previous
Yeah.
owner.
Previous
didn't
owner
plant them.
didn't plant it either.
I
No.
guarantee you.
No.
Sometimes pine trees volunteer. But they don't use slash pines as lake bank trees.
Okay, well, that may be the case, but I do know that the other guy was Joe Mansueto. We were friends with him too, and then I've known Tom for a while, and neither one of them planted that tree.
Nobody's really going out planting pine trees though, are they?
Generally, no.
Cause they're hard to take.
They don't like to be transplanted,
Yeah.
and they don't like irrigation. They don't like to stand in water.
Yeah, we got a lot of them last year.
Yes.
All right, well, Elle, thank you very much.
You're
Did-
most
did we vote
welcome.
on that?
I
Yeah,
thank
we
you all
did,
for
we
your
did.
time.
So-
Yes. You still wanted to speak to Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, thank you, number one, for we did get all the crosswalks painted. And also I wanted to ask him about the status. We had talked about some of the signage, what we were gonna do with that. Because I think he did have a proposal or estimates. for-
Okay, I will
We'll
be
see
happy
where-
to
what's
look
going
at it
on.
for you.
I appreciate it.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You are welcome.
Well,
One is September.
is she gonna take the pine tree down or not?
Which one, mine?
Yeah.
I'll cut it myself.
No, okay, but there may be other people who are not
Yeah.
able to take trees as you and I
That's
are.
really the only one I've seen around on the lake banks, and it's a very small,
Yeah,
like you
this
wouldn't
is
even see it
always-
if you weren't in my backyard
That's
standing
a-
there. But we've got some really
Yeah.
big ones
And this
that are
one.
behind people's houses,
Yeah,
I
it
know what's
says
going on.
Mine was probably about that way around.
The ones behind people's
But
houses,
these are in preserves too.
we go after them and take them down if in fact they're threatening the house.
There's some of them.
Well, we can take down a one-by-one basis.
Hey.
How you doing, Mike? First of all, I want to thank you. They did get out and get finally all the crosswalks done, and they did all the stop bars. They missed something? What's missing?
They missed the stop sign on Ivory Stone and on Stone Tower Loop, where you make the loop around and it comes back out. There's a stop sign and lines there, and those were not painted. Looks like they haven't been painted for a long
You know
time.
what?
They didn't paint them, you don't.
We may have missed that, to be
No,
honest with you.
there was two sets of lines and you don't.
No, this is back, as you go back in
Yeah.
and you go
Oh,
around the
no,
loop and you
we
come back
didn't-
out, it
yeah,
comes back out to
We
the.
didn't have that
I
as,
think we, to be
that
honest
wasn't,
with you, I
that
think we
wasn't
missed
part
that.
of it. That wasn't part of the
There was no plan
estimate.
to do those.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, those two, and then a question, the crosswalk at Bluestone.
You don't feel it's.
They put a crosswalk there, and there's nothing there to indicate that there's a crosswalk there.
Should have had the lines.
There's two lines that go from one side to the other, but there's not a stop sign, there's not a pedestrian crossing sign, there's nothing, there's just two lines across there, people coming up, who has the right of way?
That wasn't,
Yeah, we
That
have a
wasn't-
problem, and that is, we talked about putting a stop sign there, I think we
Yeah,
were probably
yeah,
talking
you
about,
can't
and
do
it
that.
wasn't that easy to do.
Right.
And beyond putting the crosswalk there's not much we can do.
No, there's not much,
But
and.
whether
but-
there's a sign there saying crosswalk, you're still obligated to stop for somebody in that
Well,
crosswalk.
yeah, if there's somebody there, but then you also run into the ADA aspect of that too. On the one side, the dip is pretty deep, that would probably disqualify it because of ADA.
but the other thing is that wasn't part of the original development order.
Mhm.
And,
You're going back to day one now, when you say that. originally.
well, you put a crosswalk in that wasn't part of the development. And there's some other comments I have, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I
say
understand.
them.
Well, in that
There you-
particular case, I will tell you, we felt we needed only because kids do cross there, because they have to get over to the sidewalk on one side, and
Right.
it is what it is.
I guess from where I look at it, it's a liability issue, and you've opened yourself to a liability issue by
Okay.
putting something that wasn't.
Let me say
originally-
this. If there is a need there and we don't do something, are we not also exposed from a liability standpoint?
Well,
Oh, you gotta do it right, you gotta do it by the guidelines.
Right, you would address it and get it done through the development order to have an engineer look at it and
And
evaluate it.
we
and let
talked
you know
about
if it was-
that and the stop sign and all that. There was a shortcut I thought you had brought to our attention one time, to be able to get a stop sign in there with a, I saw some
Not without-
response from the county, I thought, on one issue that,
You have to go through the development order process and get it limited to development
Okay.
order.
well, speaking for myself, I don't know how anybody else feels about it. I feel safer having a crosswalk than not having a crosswalk. Yeah.
Well, we don't have crosswalks, we don't have one on Greenstone, do we?
No, we didn't put one in because there's no, well,
Sidewalk on that side.
But,
yeah.
But then what about the?
On your
and
street,
what
there's
about-
no sidewalk on the, you have
No.
no sidewalks at all anyways.
no,
So
the
I have a
crosswalk goes from
But there's no
the
crosswalks
path
between the
over
sidewalks
to
either.
Greenstone.
You
We
know,
got one that goes
from-
across the street
from-
to Miss
From
Stacy's house.
Rockbridge, Crooked Creek, Blue, all those streets, they don't have crosswalks, even though there's a sidewalk going across the street, it's the same principle practically.
No.
The main crosswalks are going across Pebblebrook only.
Yeah, okay, I will agree with that. And the crosswalk, across Pebblebrook that is there,
Is marked properly.
is,
But if
I
you're
don't
gonna
think
put
we
a-
have a sign for it at Greenstone and Stone Valley, but that
But the
crosswalk
crosswalk, there's a
has.
stop sign there, and that's
There
what the
is a
federal
stop
requirements
sign.
are,
Yeah.
is that if you have.
Right, the reason I didn't include that crosswalk was on purpose, there was a reason I did that. So I was just
Okay.
trying to keep you from
All right.
experiencing some potential issues.
Would it-
If something bad happens,
Would it be,
I think we've reduced the possibility of something bad happening.
Okay.
Because what was going on, when they came down Bluestone, the piece of it that is a single straight road, they were coming to that loop and taking that loop like it was part of, like a straight road, and just keep going around. And you were taking your life in your hands crossing that section, and kids crossed there.
what are the requirements for putting in the pedestrian crossing sign right there?
it would have to be a stop sign. Because there's no room to put advance.
Well, I'm not
some sort of
saying, I
advanced
should just put
warning
a sign like you have on Pebblebrook that says, pedestrian crossing, or whatever it says there, and have that so people have to stop and yield to people in that crosswalk.
It's not the appropriate
Uh,
device. It's not the appropriate.
And my thing is, and I know I'm pretty black and white, that if you're gonna put a crosswalk in, you need to make sure you put it in right, so that you take the liability issues away from it, so.
At some point, you know, ultimately, you want to get a stop sign there, you need a stop bar.
Okay.
So am I understanding that one was not put in that we had on our list because it was a judgment call?
No,
Oh.
no, we put it in.
It
We-
was,
We
it
put it
wasn't,
in.
We put, the one on Bluestone is there,
Okay,
it wasn't part of the original plan.
but it's there.
yeah.
But it
But
was
they
fine.
also missed the two stop bars at those stop signs down.
They came back and put
And they
those
did,
in.
yes, they did. I agree. That's the point. And they missed Ivory Stone initially the first time around too, right on Pebblebrook that was missed. I think Kathy picked up on that because she lives on that
It's
street.
just the ones on the back streets, and those lines, those stop bar lines are just almost gone.
Well, at some
They
point,
can't
somebody did something, where the stop bar is where the stop sign's supposed to
Right.
be, so you can't have two stop bars. That's,
Well, I
it's
agree.
inconsistent
Yeah.
and confusing for.
Right. Well, this is
motorists.
back off Pebblebrook.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I saw those.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's done. I'm not gonna beat that.
But everything
to
that
death
was in the
anymore.
contract was done. though.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Now it is. There was an issue that Angela brought up last month, and that had to do with, we needed some sign work on a couple. Could you be more
It's
specific?
not a couple, it's a lot. The post that say either no parking or the stop signs or any of the green posts going, I'll just use my street as an example, on Gemstone. The base of those that have been beat up for years, I know it's been talked about for a couple of years. When are those gonna be repaired, or what process do we need to do to get those new bases or painted, or every other one painted that doesn't need to be repaired?
This
Street
could be
signs.
something
That
like
we-
what Scott was doing one time. We were doing it in-house. We had somebody coming out, doing a couple at a time, pulling them and fixing them. Maybe that's one of the solutions
It's been talked
here.
about for over a year, but
You had-
it's
Oh,
not
I'm
on
sure
an
this goes
agenda-
back way more
on an
than a
agenda
year.
anywhere, and I'm like, okay, we need to
You
get it on an
had
agenda.
Lycan Sign Tech, they did a few of your signs already.
Exactly.
But they have to take them out,
It's on the agenda right now, it's on
There
this.
was-
repair them.
Yeah, I know,
and
that's what we do.
So,
As much as you spend to
I remember.
repair them, it's almost more cost effective just to
Actually,
get new.
I'm gonna disagree
no,
with
there
that.
was-
We got a pretty good deal. It didn't cost us that
No.
much to fix it.
And it was an add-on.
And it was a fraction.
The
I mean,
base-
like a 15% of what it cost to replace.
How long do
it.
they last though?
Well, it's the signs that were there before, they fix them, you know? They change pieces that need to be.
You're just talking about some of
It was
those.
the base, like, that's all beat up and cracked and was falling apart.
Right.
Actually, there was a company, I remember seeing pictures at meetings, that there was like a cap-on base that they put on there, and it makes it look like a whole fresh new pole. They just fixed the bottom of it, and then, of course, it gets painted.
Because the other company that you use, they take the sign out repair it and then bring it back.
That's, that wasn't the process we were talking about.
No, there were two
You
different
were saying.
processes we were talking about.
This was a cap on,
There's-
there was a
And
company
there-
that makes it.
And there are some poles that are seriously damaged or cracked and broken where they put a pipe in. And I gotta tell you, this is really Mainscape doing this. They're hitting it with their equipment. And it hasn't been so bad lately, but when you saw those signs that were leaning in toward the street, that was Mainscape with their lawnmowers and hitting that stuff and knocking it in. But I will tell you that that's something maybe we can address and discuss at one of our
Well,
HOA
if
meetings.
it was Manscaped hitting it, it's under their contract.
Yeah, we went through that with them, went round and around, and I thought that was something that was gonna be handled in the negotiation of that last contract, but apparently they forgot.
Or even if the ones that don't need to be 100% repaired, it seems like they haven't been touched at all. Even the ones that aren't broken and damaged need to be painted, is my question. I didn't know if I need to go take pictures of like every one of them?
Well,
or
there
just
were a
the
lot
ones
of
on
them,
my
but I don't know
street?
that that was the.
Usually when you buy
GDC's.
those stop signs, you buy the post, you buy the decorative base, you buy the decorative top, you pretty much, they're almost all in pieces almost, and you pretty much put your posts
assemble.
together and assemble them.
Yeah, all we need is the bottom piece, and I remember seeing that at a meeting, that
Well,
somebody had a
it's a little
price.
trickier than just the bottom piece. You gotta take the thing apart to be able to
But
put
even
the
if we
bottom
don't put
piece
the
on.
bottom piece, who's in charge of painting it? I know we paint our old mailboxes, who's gonna paint the green post that's been beat up for ever since I've lived there?
Well, cause
So
I
we're talking
gave
3
you all a
years.
proposal to do that and it didn't go over so well. But that was to replace them with new.
No.
Yeah,
no.
which was
What
about
was that- what was that
$35,000, $40,000.
price?
30,000. It was 35.
Just wanted to repair the base is all.
But didn't John paint the bases at one time?
Not all of them.
I mean,
He painted some. Yeah, I think it
Some
was
of them
John.
weren't really torn up.
Yeah, that was John
Said
and
the
Paul
paint
you're
chipped off,
talking
he just
about.
repainted them.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of signs that are really faded and need to be, they need a lot of work.
I think possibly then, under this next budget, maybe we could take a look at
And
it.
it was my understanding that reading through the document stuff, it's not the responsibility of the GDC that.
These green signs that I'm talking about are supposed to be gateways, not Stoneybrook. That's why I wanted to bring it up at this meeting.
Actually, we need to probably redo our contracts, because there was an agreement way back with Lennar that went into some of these things, but that has kind of gotten old and obsolete. And in fact, there was, at that time, Gateway did maintain that kind of stuff. And Stoneybrook, and you probably remember this, we paid the first $5,000, and then after that, Gateway would pay. We made that go away because it created other problems for us that we didn't want to have. As I understand it in the past, and this is before you were here, we would pass it through Gateway, but we would pay the bill. That was that kind of a situation, so that if it's something you have time or have somebody can take a look at that, we'd
It's just,
appreciate
I've just
that.
had trouble finding companies that can actually do this. They're a few and far between
I
that
know.
deal with signs, just
I know, they're-
deal with signs in
yeah.
general. Trying to fix them, replace them. I mean, I have one company in Tampa that fixed everything after the hurricane. And then we've been dealing with the company that, there's a gentleman that actually lives in Stoneybrook that works for a company out of Naples that does signage.
Can
And
you
we've
get
been
me
using
his
that.
information and we'll talk to him?
Mhm.
Because I'm not sure who that is. Do you have any idea?
I heard the name, but I don't know who
He,
it is.
he lives
Like two.
close to Kathy, he lives a few doors down,
Okay, let's
I
talk
can
to
get you his
him
information.
and see what, I appreciate that. So then we'll try to get that fixed up a little bit if we can.
Sure.
And maybe, who knows, you can even do it on the side.
They have some different options. My thought is painting something in the field, you know, painting it on site is not the same as taking it and painting it.
Sandblasting it.
Well, doing it in a paint booth that's gonna last you years. I mean, can you paint something out there? Sure, but
Spray paint.
but you get what you pay for.
Right.
And it's gonna last you, you know, a few
Right.
years, and then you're having to do it again. And my thought is you do it once, do it right, you don't have to worry about it for the
There just
next.
happens to be
But-
so many
but
of
Mike, I'll
them.
tell you,
Street signs.
We
I
had nice
can't-
new
no.
signs when we started. I think 6, 7 years down the road, they were beat up and looking ugly. You know, they were just getting hit by the landscapers. They beat the hell out of them
Yep.
with the lawnmowers.
I just
and-
wanted to know who was
So
responsible.
to spend like
we
the
could-
35 grand and actually, I tried to get it in their contract that they were responsible for the damage, and they really, that didn't fly, yeah. So in any case, but if you can get me that name, I'd
Sure, I
appreciate
can get you
it.
his card.
Anybody have any other questions for Mike? We're good.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the street signs, we'll try to talk to this guy, and we do have, I know Mike says that he's not hot on painting them out in the street, but some of these things, all they need is a touch-up sometimes.
There's some that just need touch-ups, there's some that are
And, you know, we'll
completely
pick and choose,
destroyed.
you gotta take them on an individual basis to see what, and assess what's done. I don't know, maybe we can set up a committee, of people who want to take a look at that and make suggestions where the signs are.
I
Is
think it
that-
needs to definitely be brought up
Is
Monday night.
that something you might be interested in?
We need, yeah, we need to do something, because
Okay.
we're telling all the neighbors in the past couple of months in the scoop, paint your mailbox, paint your mailbox. And people paint their mailboxes, and then our street signs look like crap. I just think that's not appropriate. I'm like, you know, if we paint our mailboxes, then those signs need to look better. And it's been 3 years that I've looked at them, so I don't know.
Oh,
how
there's
long-
been a lot of improvement in signs, that's not, we fixed and spent a lot of money on street signs. They're not the way they were.
Oh,
They're
the
just-
stop signs look great. I'm just mainly talking about the pole.
But,
So I'll say
and the
green
crossing
poles.
walk signs got updated and improved, and there's others also that have been repaired and
There's been
cleaned.
some good things.
But I will also agree, though, that we still need more
So
to do.
now I just see those sticking out like a sore thumb.
And that's
It's like,
maybe
okay,
what's
that's
happening.
next on the list.
All right, so we'll talk about that at the next board meeting, okay, which I think is coming on Monday.
Can we put that on the agenda?
Please.
Put it on the agenda?
Because
For the
then if-
board meeting?
then if we
yeah,
end up
yeah, I
doing a
think-
committee,
let's
then
do
I'll be
that.
on it, I
I think
guess.
that's fine.
Alright. Yeah, 'cause it doesn't look like it wasn't really that long of an agenda.
Yeah, we got room this time.
Now that turned out to be though.
We are also gonna change the order of bringing, I see you did it for this, to bring up resident comments, both on and off the agenda up front, so they're not
Waiting till 9.
waiting or not getting their
Yeah.
two
Agreed.
cents in. We're-
Agreed.
I always like that
Yeah,
idea.
and the only thing I gotta say is, though, we have to be tough about restricting time, otherwise we'll never get to the meeting, you know? All right, we talked about that, there's not too much else unless somebody here has anything to bring up and talk about. How about you, Warren?
Howard did.
I
Thank you.
love,
How's
you know,
the
all the
side look?
signs that have been
What's
done,
that?
all the
How does the
sidewalk,
side look?
the painting on the streets.
Side looks pretty good except by the light pole. I can't believe they put the sod up by that light pole there on the right as you come around. They still left a big hole, and when they go to cut it, there's great big stumps coming up into the grass. I think Mainscapes did that themselves, because they had a sod company put the other side, and they did a
The
great
sod
job.
company did a good job. I
They
saw
did a
them out
great-
there with
oh,
that,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
they were pounding it
They,
down,
they did the right job.
Yeah.
They were a
And-
professional operation.
And I emailed Elle and said, hey, great job, but you gotta water it, because they didn't water it for 3 or 4 days. And then I said, you also missed this other spot. And I saw, I was gone for a week, and I come back and I saw that spot done. I mean, and next time you go by, look how dry it is. I don't know where the water comes from there, but you can see, there's a big hole there. I don't know what it would take for a rake to rake the dirt into that hole. They're gonna have a heck of a time trying to cut it. That's why I think Mainscapes.
Where specifically
What happens
are you
is they'll-
talking about?
If you, well, on Pebblebrook from Stone Valley Loop, from my end,
Okay,
there's some ficus that go along, then it stops and there's a light pole. And some of them ficus were taken out by the hurricane.
you're right.
And we finally got them to put sod in there. So they put the sod in, but if you look at it, it looks terrible.
So where you say they didn't bring enough dirt in to fill the hole?
Well,
where
they
the
probably wouldn't
pipe
have to
came
do
out.
that, just raking it out. I was gonna do that a couple times, and then I said, no, I'm not gonna do that, you know?
Yeah.
Because it just looks like there's plenty of dirt right there to rake into that hole. And
Okay.
it's been that way since the hurricane, so, but,
I'll tell you what, that's something we can probably get Shannon to talk to Mainscape about in her meeting. How's that?
Yeah.
I know.
I'm not sure,
I'm not sure where the
I'm
water is
just
from
thinking
there
about
either,
what
because it
they're
looks
meeting.
awfully dry.
You say
Right, that spot.
You have another meeting.
Yeah, you know, to be honest with you, I don't know that all the irrigation is on right now.
No, there's
Oh, yeah, yeah, it was on this morning, when I
Yeah,
was
but I'm
out.
talking about that all the sections are coming
Yeah,
on right
yeah,
now.
I think you may be right, but
And
they did
so-
come on right after I emailed Ellen and said there's been no water on that new grass, said they put it in on Friday, and by Monday there was nothing there was no rain.
They may actually have picked and choose where they put it on. And
That
I
could
think
be.
part of the problem is that we were anticipating rain, and then it didn't,
Yeah.
you know, so. that-
Yeah, once they got water on it, that grass looks nice along Pebblebrook there, that they put in. Those guys they did it right.
Yes,
There's
I
no
agree.
doubt they did it right.
I know, for all the things that were posted on Facebook,
Ah.
the tried to explain to them the process, and
Yeah.
and these guys did a good job.
They did a great job, they did.
I was surprised that they let it go that long, because there was a lot of the green weeds and grass coming
Well,
back, and I was like, ooh.
my-
They weren't worried about that, though. They were.
Well,
My
they had-
concern
they
was
brought
that
in a-
they
they
were
brought
just
in a-
gonna-
They brought in a bobcat too.
My concern was that they were gonna just lay the sod on top of
Yeah.
that grass.
Oh, I knew they
Because-
wouldn't do that.
Because, well, they shouldn't, but the way they killed it, I'm thinking, they're gonna just lay that, if it was Main Street, that's probably what they would've done. But that other company
I
came
agree
out,
with that.
and they cut it all out, they put it in, and they rolled it all out and stuff. The only thing it didn't have was water. They, you know.
It looks good now.
Yeah, oh, it looked great now, yeah, it had some water, it had some
We
rain
were
on it.
supposed to get rain almost every day this week, and it
Yeah.
hasn't rained at all. So, you know, that's another issue. All right, well, anybody else? And then I'm gonna consider this meeting,
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
all right, that was JT and Angela, seconded it, and all in favor?
Aye.
We're done. That was quick. All right, so what we'll try to do